She's very boring. She's non-colourful. She's completely inconspicuous, right? This lady person is coming from Canada, all the way from Canada. Welcome. What can I say about CJ in lists of accomplishments and talent? She's an amazing singer.
Wow.
She's an amazing influencer. She's an amazing spirit. She just has received an amazing award. I will let her tell you what happened to her. Obviously, something happened to her. That's why she's in this chair. And it nearly finished her. And now she's here to tell a little bit about that. And to tell you that it's not over, it's just a new chapter. So please welcome CJ Janzen.
All right. As I attempt not to take anybody out with the base of this wheelchair or to smash into that. So my name is CJ Janzen, the singing speaker. You'll figure out why afterwards. But let's start with something simple. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see. Thank you. Now, for some people, that song is very religious. And for some people, it is a state of mind. And for me, the focus word is grace. In 2012, I got the most wicked birthday gift ever. A wicked virus. And it put me in this wheelchair. And I have been battling that illness for over 13 years. It leaves me 80% bedbound on any given day. I went from scuba diving 2 to 4 times a day to overnight being barely able to speak 2 to 4 words at a time. And don't it always seem to go that you don't know what you've got till it's gone. And that's what happened to me. All that I was, all that I had, and my hopes and dreams for the future, overnight. I went to bed healthy, and I woke up with just a simple virus. But that virus turned vicious in my system, and it morphed into a neuroimmune illness called myalgic encephalomyelitis. Short form is ME, so don't worry, because everything's about me, isn't it? Now, I fought and I tried so hard to figure out what was going on. Had a couple recompression chamber dives because I was a master scuba instructor. I had spent my days in the tropics. I was living in Mexico. I had traveled the world. I had everything. And then I woke up to a living nightmare. And it was all taken from me. When I finally ran out of money because I couldn't afford any more tests and I couldn't dive anymore, I was forced back to Canada. I had never planned to go back to Canada. I'm a tropical girl, can't you tell? Catch the wave. But unfortunately, I did. I had to go back to Canada. But that idyllic life that I pretended that I had a second life-threatening illness. I was also an alcoholic. I'd been an alcoholic from the age of 7. From the first time I had my first drink, my genetics said, alcohol, yay! Now, of course, I didn't know it at the time, and neither did my adoptive parents. My biological family would probably have known to look for some of the warning signs. But when I was a kid, I did not like doing chores. But when my family had like a get together with other families and they were having Thanksgiving wine, Christmas dinners, whatever, do you know that there are adults out there who do not finish a glass of wine? Really? I have never met a glass that I didn't find the bottom of. So it was like, if I clean up the table, I can have a sip out of all of these little glasses. Yay! Big red flag right there. But I also then, as a teenager, every single time that I had a drink, I could not stop. You can put 24 bottles of water in front of me. I will have 1 or 2 glasses of water because that's all I need. But you put 24 bottles in front of me, and I will not stop until I am violently ill. And eventually, I mean, it took me about 30, 35 years to figure out that I really had a problem. Because I did something called lowering the bar. Anybody else familiar with that one? Yeah, I can see that there's a few people in here that have confronted issues like mine. But what happens is you say, well, if I ever have a bad relationship at work, I'll stop drinking. Oh no, they were just an asshole. We lowered the bar. If I ever get fired from work for drinking, well, see, yeah, the drunken email that I sent to the other company's boss, but I was given bad information by that boss's secondary, like vice president, and so like I thought they were going to steal my alcohol, and it was like no, and besides, my boss is just as much of an alcoholic as I am, so he'll understand. No, he didn't. Yeah, but it was their fault, so I lowered the bar. So in many ways, the illness that put me in this chair became a blessing. Because I had to hop on an airplane. I'm leaving on a jet plane. Don't know when I'll be back again. Oh Lord, I hate to go. Don't make me leave Mexico. But nonetheless, leave I did. And 5 days after getting back to Canada, because I had promised myself I will never drink again once I hit Canadian soil. Yeah, no, that didn't happen. 2 days later, less than 2 days later, I was drinking again. But I did succeed 5 days later to pick up the phone and call AA. Now, I got an answering machine. And I'm still at this point barely able to speak 2 to 4 words at a time. And I'm slurring those words. And I'm promising them I'm not drunk yet. And this is my story, and this is what happened, and I've was sick, and then I have recompression chamber, and then I've got home, and then I think I might have a problem. Beep. If I could have slammed the phone down, cell phones are not nearly as satisfying. Like for you youngins, you don't get it. Like the ability to just slam a receiver down, so satisfying. Now it's like, anyway, very not satisfying. But nonetheless, I have no idea if I have succeeded in even leaving my phone number. But I swore at that moment in time that God, higher power, whatever woo-woo is out there, if you want me to stop drinking, they're going to have to call me back. And proceeded to drink. They called me back. And that night, with my stuffed animal, my stuff lying under my arms, box of Kleenex sort of kind of under the other, a lady came and she picked me up. She dragged me to my first meeting. And I stood up on wobbly legs and said, "Hi, my name is CJ Janzen, and I am an alcoholic." Now, from that point to now, things have changed. But they didn't change overnight. And the things and the steps that I had to learn were something that I call grace. Marco, is that slide? Okay. So, for me, I had to start by grieving. I had to grieve what I once was, what I once had, what I once dreamed of doing. I was going to have my own dive shop. I was going to spend my life in the tropics being the amazing leader and guide and teacher and just, there is no place in the world I feel more free than in the water.
Still can.
I still can. I did, not this summer, but last summer, but not without a little help from my friends. All right. Yeah, there is a song there, but the time is, this is more important than the song at this point. But what happened was when I got back here, all I would say to people, well, I was a truck driver. I drove an 18-wheeler for a living.
Woo! Love that, baby.
A lorry.
No, we call it a truck.
Yeah, okay. I'd been okay, so the standing joke is, you know, what does a professional clown, a lifeguard, a babysitter, a paramedic, a truck driver, a master scuba instructor, a speaker, a soon-to-be international best-selling author, international best-selling author, have in common? Me. I have been all of those things. So I used to say, well, I was a truck driver, or I was a master scuba instructor, or I was a paramedic. I was living in the I was. Think about it. How many people in this room have that moment in time of before something happened and after? Before 9/11, after 9/11, before COVID, after COVID. We have those defining moments in our lives.
Like before meeting Sir Marco.
Before meeting Sir Marco. That is a very definitive line.
Right? You know it.
But I had to grieve what was to find out who I am now. But I had no value anymore. I had no job. I was living off my now ex. I was living in a bad situation. I ended up in a women's shelter. I mean, I felt useless. Because at that point, I was 90% bedbound. Until I signed myself one job. I called it my Mission Impossible job. Dun, 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 dun. Every day, I had to go either outside or online, find somebody, and make them smile.
Aww.
And that was my one job. Because if I could make one person smile, I imagine that smile traveling around the world, because we never know how our stories and how our smile can make somebody's day. In the book, I mentioned this one little story. This happened only a couple months ago. Now, I can go into grocery stores and I can feel resentful. Oh my God, I have to ask somebody to get this off the shelf. That's how it started when I first got my wheelchair. I have to do this. I have to do that. And I was like, I just want to shop like a normal. Can't shop like a normal person. So I changed it into a game. I would ask somebody, and then I would tell them that they're my supermarket hero. And then I started finding the grumpiest person in the room, and I would drag them to the aisle and make them help me to get that same smile out of them. And there was this little lady, and she was no taller than I am in my wheelchair, but she had arms that could reach the cucumbers that mine could not. And I said, "Excuse me, ma'am, but could I borrow your tallness?" And she looked at me really strangely, and she goes, "Yeah, what do you need?" "I can't reach the cucumbers." And she looked at me. She looked at the cucumbers. She went, "I can do that." And she grabbed the cucumbers off the top shelf. She handed me these, and she turned to her daughter, and she goes, "I have never felt so tall in my entire life." Can you imagine how many times she told that story to her friends and how many smiles? I could still make a difference from my bed or through the internet, pebbling my friends. Do you guys know what pebbling is? Okay. Anybody that sends you, that you have that friend that constantly sends you memes or funny jokes, or penguins mate for life. Okay, so penguins, the way they show their love is, in order to get their first female, is they will collect pebbles, and they will bring a pebble to the girl and try to get the best pebble so that they end up being the person chosen. And that's pebbling. So they keep bringing these lovely little pebbles, right? So that's what your friends are doing. They're pebbling. They're telling you, even though sometimes it's like so annoying that you, okay, I only need one meme today, just not 15, all right? But they're showing their love because that's how they know how to do it. That's how they're comfortable showing their love, right? But pebbling was really, just love it. Anyway, I sort of lost track of where I was, but we're going to go on to reframing with gratitude. So again, grocery store. Grocery store, I could be resentful, I could be angry, but instead I got to make people smile, but I gave them the gift of giving. And I could be grateful for their assistance instead of angry about their assistance. I can also, on my worst of days, on the days that are so bad that you just want to give up. And I had one in July. I was like, the night before, my vet came in the middle of a dress rehearsal for a concert. He told me, "You should probably bring your cat in." She hadn't been doing well. I raced there the next morning, and I had to put her down. On the way home from that, I get a call that my dad's being taken to the hospital by ambulance. And I was devastated. And I couldn't stop. I had a speech the next day. Day after that, I had my Disabilities Unleashed show that I was producing and performing in twice. Kind of had to be there. The following day, I got to class. The day after that, I had 2 more concerts. The day after that, I helped with a book launch at 5 a.m.
And so you should.
Because I love him. But nonetheless, instead of completely collapsing, I got to recognize that I live in a country where when we pick up the phone, an ambulance comes. I got to drive my cat to the vet on a beautiful day that she could enjoy for her last 3 minutes. That I was surrounded by people who reached out and, not physically able to, but sent me their love, told me they cared, told me they understood where I was, that they'd been there, they'd experienced loss. I'm blessed. How much do we take for granted? So I have learned to live in a constant state of gratitude by recognizing the smallest of joys. This is a muscle that you have to build, ladies and gentlemen. You have to think, I get to turn the light switch on and I have light. Or maybe you're sitting in your car without a roof over your head. But you do have a car, you're not under a bridge. Sometimes it's hard to find those little joys, but the more we look for them, the easier they are to find. And the more we find, the better the day goes. So that is reframe with gratitude. Yeah, sorry. Sorry, no, this is important things, but act fearlessly. All of you here today have done something crazy. You've come to find some crazy British guy who can talk a mile a minute and makes fun of my sexual thing. But nonetheless, you know what? We are all bravely stepping out into our truths. And like she said before me, it's like, guess what? It's okay to fail. Because you haven't failed unless you haven't tried. Right? When we choose to try something and it doesn't work out the way we want, my Disabilities Unleashed show, the first time I ran it, did we earn money? Nope. Did we have a lot of bums in seats? Nope. Did I change the disability landscape in the region of Waterloo? Hell yeah. Did I elevate and celebrate persons with disabilities? Thank you very much. Yes, I did. You know what? I brought something completely new to the area, to the 3-4 cities that are in my area, simply because I was willing to take on the hat of creator, producer, social media, fundraiser. Holy crap, I have no idea what I'm doing, right? So you can equate some of these things as failures, but I met people. I built bridges. I made connections. I have built something that I've now done a second show, and my next show is in December. All right, and it's not fully funded yet, so anybody with deeper pockets, feel free to make a donation. Yeah, no, I will shamelessly plug that. But by becoming willing to fearlessly fail, my next step is I am going to create a 2-day event and trade show to, again, celebrate, elevate, educate, and provide people the opportunity to see the various medical devices that make the life of people with disabilities better, right? And I also want to take my variety show from coast to coast to coast. I want to go into smaller cities and towns and put those shows on and put them on television. I would love to be able to interview people, ask them about where they are and their start over story, about what they're living with, what they're dealing with, and moving forward, and allowing them to showcase their amazing talents, their books, their art, their crafts, their vocal variety, their magic shows, their strongman, whatever it is, their dancing. I have big hopes, big dreams, and a lot of it has started here. When we act fearlessly, when we live in that state of gratitude, guess what happens? We make community. The people in this room are, pardon my language, a fucking awesome community. I have made even more friends from around the world, right? And when you make that community, those are the people that are going to hold you up when you are too weak to stand on your own. And ladies and gentlemen, when you go out and act fearlessly, when you have your community, when you are living in that state of gratitude, you are going to find new passion and purpose. By joining AA, I ended up joining a little church. That group of people got me to all my medical appointments. They got me to the places and paid for some of the treatments that I needed so that I can speak to you today, right? From that, I also learned in the room of AA, guess what? There are good speakers and there are not so good speakers. And I wanted to be a damn good speaker. So I joined Toastmasters, a whole new community. And they have supported me. And I have won multiple awards and competitions. And that has boosted me into making speaking my profession. Am I making a lot of money yet? No. Will I be making a lot of money? Yeah. Hell yes. Hell yeah. Right? But I embraced those opportunities, that passion and purpose. So no matter how low you are today, no matter how far down you have fallen, use grace and you can stand again. Maybe with some help of your friends.